Hey, today we are learning phrasal verbs that you can use to talk about relationships. Now, we're not only talking about romantic relationships. These phrasal verbs can be used to talk about romantic relationships, but also to talk about relationships with family, colleagues, and friends as well. So they are very versatile. Now, if you are trying to improve your spoken English, your vocabulary, and your fluency, it is important and necessary that you practice talking about different topics. So today I've chosen the topic of relationships because it is very common. We all have relationships with the people around us. So let's look at these phrasal verbs, learn what they mean, learn how to use them, and we'll look at an example of how to use them in the context of a story. Let's go. First up, we have a very common one: get along or get on with someone. Get along is the US or American English version, and get on with is the British version of this phrasal verb. Both are correct, they mean exactly the same, and you can use whichever one is easier for you to remember. Now, to get along with someone just means to have a good relationship with them, to have a friendly relationship with them. So you can say that you get along with someone or that you don't get along with someone. For example, my sister and I get along really well, or my sister and I don't get along. All right, so get along just means to have a good relationship with someone. Next up, we have get together. Get together. Now, get together just means to meet and spend some time, usually for a specific purpose or a social event. So for example, let's get together for lunch next week if you're free. Let's get together for lunch next week if you're free. The next phrasal verb is break up. Break up. Now, to break up means to end a romantic relationship. I've gotten a lot of questions about this one. Many people have asked me, is it okay to use this when you are talking about friendships or relationships with family members? And the answer is no. Breakup is used specifically for romantic relationships, all right? So for example, they broke up after 10 years together. They broke up after 10 years together. So they ended their relationship. It doesn't really matter who ended the relationship or how the relationship ended. As long as it ended, you can simply say that they broke up. Next, we have to grow apart or to drift apart. Grow apart or drift apart. These two phrasal verbs have the exact same meaning. You can use whichever one is easier for you to remember. Now, if you grow apart from someone, it means that you gradually become less close. You become less close over time because of different reasons. It could be because of distance, because of different interests, different priorities. Maybe you're just changing. There are lots of reasons why people grow apart. So for example, my best friend and I grew apart after I moved abroad. We grew apart after I moved abroad. So in this case, it could be because of distance or changes in our lives. It's inevitable or unavoidable that people just grow apart for lots of different reasons. Next, we have to patch up. To patch things up or patch something up. And this one means to repair a relationship or resolve a conflict in a relationship. So for example, they had a huge fight, but they were able to patch things up. They had a huge fight, but they were able to patch things up. So they were able to discuss and resolve whatever the problem was. So patch things up just means to fix a relationship or solve a problem. Next is to fall out. To fall out with someone. To fall out with someone. This means that you have a disagreement or an argument that normally breaks down or leads to the end of a relationship. So you might fall out with someone and then stop talking to them altogether, all right? So for example, they were in business together for 20 years, but they fell out and they decided to go their separate ways. They were in business together for 20 years, but they fell out and they decided to go their separate ways. Next is to make up with someone. Now, if you make up with someone, this means that you reconcile or you fix things after an argument or a breakup, okay? So you can make up after a breakup, or you can make up after a fight, okay? So for example, they were broken up for a month, but they made up and got back together. They were broken up for a month, but they made up and got back together. Next is to reach out. To reach out. If you reach out to someone, this simply means that you contact them, you get in contact or get in touch with them. And in the context of relationships, it usually means that you contact them for support, to offer help or to ask for help, or to reconnect with them if you've lost contact, okay? So you can reach out to people for different reasons, and these are generally the common reasons why we reach out, okay? To ask for help, to offer support, or to reconnect, okay? For example, I've tried reaching out to him a few times, but I haven't heard back. I've tried reaching out to him a few times, but I haven't heard back. And you can reach out to someone by calling them, by sending them a message, by sending them an email. It doesn't matter what method you use. It simply means to contact or get in touch. And next we have to talk something out or to talk things out. Now this means to discuss something in order to solve a problem or reach some kind of conclusion. For example, you guys have been fighting for weeks now. It's time to talk things out. You've been fighting for weeks. It's time to talk things out, all right? You can also say to someone, let's talk this out, or can we talk this out, or can we talk things out, all right? Again, it means to discuss in order to reach some kind of solution or conclusion. Now, if you are trying to take your vocabulary to the next level, make sure you check out the weekly English Words membership, where you will learn tons of phrasal verbs and natural English vocabulary in context around tons of different topics. I will link the weekly English Words membership down below. It is a self-study membership, so you can work and learn at your own pace, all right? I'll link that down below this lesson so you can check it out. Now, I want you to listen to how these phrasal verbs can be used very naturally in the context of a story about two friends, all right? So I'm going to tell you a short story about two friends, and this story is very natural. It's something realistic that someone might actually say. So I'm going to pop the story up on the screen for you and highlight or bold or underline the phrasal verbs. So pay attention to how they are being used. We're using some of these phrasal verbs and some additional ones, so look out for those, all right? Let's go. Jackie and I had been best friends since we were kids. We grew up in the same neighborhood, we went to school together. We got along so well that people thought we were sisters. We were inseparable. But when we went to college, things changed. Jackie started partying a lot, and honestly, I was more focused on my studies. She would invite me to go along with her, but I usually said no, and she eventually stopped asking me. So naturally, we drifted apart. I tried telling Jackie how I felt and that I missed our friendship and spending time together, but unfortunately, we had an argument and ended up falling out. We stopped talking altogether. A few months later, Jackie sadly lost her father in a car accident, and they'd always been extremely close. So of course, she was devastated. I reached out to her and we met up. We talked things out. It was like no time had passed, and we are as close today as ever. So this example is a really simple story about a friendship, okay? This is something that you might actually hear in a conversation. I always try to keep the examples natural and realistic for you, and I encourage you to come up with your own examples and use these phrasal verbs in the context of relationships. It's okay if you come up with separate examples, but if you want to challenge yourself, I would recommend that you try to tell a little story about a friendship or a relationship in your life and try to use several of these phrasal verbs in that story. You don't have to use all of them, just try to use a few of them. So there you have it, phrasal verbs that you can use to talk about relationships. Don't forget to check out the Weekly English Words membership linked down below. As well, if you're working on your conversation skills, grab your free ebook, English Conversations Made Simple. I've also linked this down below. It's totally free. Click the link, enter your email, and I will send it to you. If you enjoyed today's lesson, please do give it a like and subscribe. This helps the channel a lot, and it helps YouTube to show these lessons to more English learners so we can help as many people as possible. Thank you so much for watching, learning, and spending time with me today, and I'll see you very soon in another one.